Hello my friends, welcome to the metal shop. Today we are rehabbing two Floyd Rose models that I picked up off of, let's see, I guess they were both off of eBay. No reverb this time around. Pretty typical of what you're going to find in the used market. And I say rehabbing because I was originally going to title it a refurbish, but to me, a refurbish means that you're changing parts, that it's to the point where it needs new saddles, it might need new screws, a new fine tuner, a new screw in the back, whatever it is. So we're not refurbishing, we're rehabbing, because I believe I'm going to be able to use all of the same parts here. I have this nice cutting board. It was a gift, Christmas gift a few years ago, a couple of years ago. Keep everything in frame. What I'd like to do is I'd love to route like a little section here for putting screws and so on in that area. So anyway, on to the refurbishing. So we have an original Floyd Rose here from the 80s and with the screw and bar that I prefer. And if you know, you can just tell from the feel. Screw and bar is a good outwards indicator, but the squareness, the underside of the plate being flat, being without all the little dots, obviously made in Germany, the fine tuners that everyone's looking for that are the brass is starting to show through. Pretty nice piece, and I think you used to be able to pick these up for right around $100, a little over $100 all day long. This one was $180, which I feel nowadays it was a good deal. Is a good deal. And here we have the Floyd Rose II. Now this thing takes a lot of grief from those in the Floyd community, but I think of it like this. It's kind of like the automotive analogy where if every car was fuel injected and a guy invented the guy that invented carburetors came after, he would be heralded as a genius. Well, that's kind of the inverse here. This was first. This was invented second. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, that this particular style, this is a single locking trem where the strings go through here. The ball ends are fed through here. That makes it single locking. They don't really lock in place here. I believe that this design was Fernandez with their Head Crasher series. I believe that they did that first because they did that in the late 80s, 87, 88, somewhere around there. Fernandez did it. This is a late 80s, early 90s version of the Floyd Rose II made by Schaller. And they used to brand these, it could say Charvel, it could say Jackson. I'm not sure if Hamer used this particular one, but Charvel Jackson absolutely did. I had this exact same trem on my first Rhodes guitar. It was a Charvel Avenger, but this was second to this. I think, quite honestly, the strings going through, the best sounding guitars, and I've said this before in videos, the best sounding guitars that I own are string through. Telly style, a Rhodes over the Tunematic and through the body of the guitar. I just think that leaving the string intact, having all that string length, just physics, the vibrations of it, it's going to ultimately, you're going to get a little more sustain. It's going to ring better than the standard Floyd Rose that we're cutting the ball ends off, and there's just that tiny little nub of a string in there. I've never thought that that was really the greatest design and the way to do it. But the music you're playing with one of these, generally, you're not hearing that difference. They sustain just fine. But I like this. People bag on these because they're only single locking. But I think this is a great design that really never got its due. Pressed in inserts. So when you're looking at these things to buy on eBay, that's one of the things that you want to look for. Look for good pictures, look at your inserts, and make sure that they're in good shape. These are in pretty good shape. There's a tiny, tiny little divot actually in both of them, and that's fine. The knife edges on this are perfect, as you would expect. So I've kind of got ahead of myself here. Things to look for when you're buying them, you're looking at pictures. A little bit of dust and grime on them is okay because it means that it's sat and it hasn't been used and abused. Now, if it's thick, dust and grime and rust, you may want to pass that one over or pay for it accordingly. The example I would use is Jeff Beck's guitars that are for sale at Christie's right now at the end of the month of January of 2025. To me, those guitars look like his Jacksons, I should say. His Jackson guitars, the pink one and the orange one, they appear to me to be in the state of disrepair. Thick amounts of dust and grime on them, rust, and to me, they're in disrepair. So just for, by way of comparison here, if we're looking at this JT6, this knife edge is flat and straight the way it's supposed to be. This one over here is a huge gouge in it. This one is never really going to operate properly and return to tune the way you want it. It may work okay as a flat mount, returning to zero, resting on the body. It certainly would work well if you blocked it and you put 5 springs on it and mount it in place. I keep this just as a reference. I don't know that I would ever install this on a guitar. The JT6 is something whose time has come and passed. So anyway, once you get these things, you decide that you're going to buy them and you're going to get them. And you can tell a lot from the auction. I looked at this one and you can see this with the naked eye. The saddles are they're in the wrong order. And I sound like a broken record here, but you can see this with the naked eye. And the 2 highest saddles are here. The 2 lowest saddles are here. And the 2 medium saddles are here on the outside. So whoever took this apart and put it back together at some point didn't know what they were doing, and they really did themselves a disservice by not putting those saddles in their proper radius. It does look like it was somewhat intonated. That's something else that you should be looking for. Because on this example here, look at this. I believe this apart, and all the saddles, they are completely in a line. They're very far forward. This wasn't on a guitar like this, I would hope. If it was, the intonation was out and terrible. These saddles are also graduated in height. And let me see, I can see here with the naked eye. Tough to see. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see that or not. But what they did is the 2 highest are here, the 2 middle are here, the 2 lowest are here. It is stepped down. And they probably, so someone sort of recognized the graduated heights of the saddles. They just didn't make an arc or a radius. They just thicker strings got the bigger ones, the smaller strings got the lower ones. So there's that. When I get these, so we've made our visual assessment. Small 32 millimeter block. This came on a recessed guitar. More than likely you find one that's set up like this with a screw and arm and this short block, it was probably a Kramer, because they started recessing their Trems in 87. So the technology is you'll have this old screw-in arm and the short block for the recess. Now this one is huge. This is a 42. So this was definitely, and I'm betting, like I had a Charvel 550 XL that had a recess, but the entire base plate sat up above the face of that guitar. So the recess was completely unnecessary, and it had a 42 millimeter. And that's what you need when you have that top mount and the base plate sits well above the face of the guitar. That's the only reason you would need the 42 millimeters. Lots of retrofits need the 42 millimeter block there. Nice piece. Both of these came with their arms. That's important. With a screw-in bar like this, you can buy the bars all over the place, but are they the real Floyd product? And if you know, you know, you grab it, the bend, the height, it's just right. It's just what you want. So we've checked it. What I like to do next, once I've received it, is I like to check the screws with the driver. Now you can use a regular Allen wrench like this or one of these, but these actually apply a lot of torque. And what I like to do is see if I can get them off with this first to make sure that they will all turn freely. There's a bunch of rust in these, and yeah, we're good here. These are turning freely. What you don't want to do is if it is stuck and you go at it with one of these and it's stuck, you can, if you're lucky, you'll strip just the head. If you're unlucky, you'll strip the threads. And if you strip the threads, you're screwed. I mean, you can, I don't even know if you can get a helicoil that small to fix that. You could use a longer screw with a nut if your setup allows for that. You could thread and tap a larger size, just barely a larger size, and see if that would fit. But more than likely, if you mess that up, you are toast. So use your driver here. You're not applying a lot of torque, and just check all these and make sure that they all spin. Now, if they don't spin and you can't get them with, see, that one's a little, okay. Don't go all He-Man with your angled Allen key. What you want to do is you want to, no Allen screws on the back side of this one. They are flats if you needed to turn them with a wrench. All is not lost. Soak them in penetrant. Now, just to be clear, WD-40 is not a penetrant. They make one. It's specifically called Rust Release and Penetrant. PB Blaster, WD, Rust Release and Penetrant. If all you have is WD, it's fine. It will work. You want something thin that's going to creep there. Let it really soak in, and then you can work it with preferably a driver. But if not, if this is all you have, then you can do it. Just be careful. We'll check all of these. I think we're in good shape here, because if you get a couple of them to move like that easily with a driver, they're probably all going to. And this is our 2.5 millimeter. And for the Floyd, the real Floyd, we're going to bust out our 3, and we're going to check all these. Oh, that one's loose. I was like, finger tight. Say finger tight. It's finger tight. It's not finger loose. It's finger tight. I hear this on YouTube now. I can't remember the first time. I think it was Emily Hartford I heard say, oh, it's finger tight. No, it's not finger tight. It's finger loose. Sorry, it's finger tight, not finger loose. I can't even get it straight myself. Make sure all of your blocks are intact. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to break them all down completely. Down to their smallest parts. And I'm going to put these bars on either side. They are slightly different. I think this one has a bigger diameter. I think I remember that about the Shallers. You can see they are a little bit different. This one, from back in my days of that, when I had that Avenger and that 550 XL, that's a Shaller. It's almost like a black chrome as well. It's kind of like that finish, and that's a real Floyd bar there. We are going to just get the dust and grime off with a toothbrush this one has no oil on it, has no nothing. I'm just going to kind of do this for myself. Get all of the dust and nastiness off. This one's really bad. This one's gonna require some work. And right in there, and that's a good thing. Like I said, a little bit of dust and grime is a good thing. Means the thing sat, and it probably sat off of a guitar. That's what you want. One that's been on a guitar in use for all that time, you know, going back to the 90s now, you know, 90, 91 for this, that thing would be beat. And there's some grime in there that I'm not going to be able to get at. And there's actual like dirt and stuff here. I can feel it. You can feel the grime. So I'm going to take us to the time lapse here, and we're going to break these down and get those saddles in order and make sure that everything is in good working order. So you can join me there. Okay, and there we have it. 2 Floyd Rose assemblies, original Floyd Rose and a later Floyd Rose II, completely rehabilitated is the word. And essentially, we just took them apart, cleaned them with a toothbrush. I used 3-in-1 oil. Luckily, none of mine needed penetrant. Some of the saddles here, you may have saw in the time lapse there, were very stiff, but I got them all to move with my fingers. A little bit of oil in there and moving them back and forth, and they all move just fine. Point of note there, the way these saddles are numbered, and again, it's all over the map. No numbers at all, nothing. These have the number 2. The tallest have the number 3. So, and this one, I did have to reference, this one is the hash mark system. So it's 1 hash mark, 1 stripe, 2 stripes. So 1 stripe, 2 stripes, and nothing in the center. So just figure out, like, again, you can see them with the naked eye, figure out which is your tallest ones, figure out which is what their marking system is by using the naked eye. You can bust out the micrometers if you need to. Again, if you don't have a micrometer, you can measure the saddles with an adjustable wrench and then put the adjustable up against your ruler to get an accurate measurement. But all these saddles are now making a radius as they're supposed to. Everything is working, and I've set these up to intonate reasonably well. And again, you take your A string and the second hole back is pushed all the way forward. Your G string is, sorry, E-A-D-G-B. Your B string is in the second hole, pushed all the way forward till it's touching that. Then this one goes back a little. This one goes forward a little, obviously from the front hole. That will get you, that's very close. This is the setup that you should have. It will get you in the ballpark. Interestingly, only 2 sets of holes here. Like, I know that Goto has gone to that. And Floyd Rose, quite honestly, years ago, should have gone to the 2 holes. I've never, ever, ever used this 3rd set of holes, ever, in 40 plus years of playing and wrenching on Floyd Rose. If you're using that 3rd hole, that means your Floyd's in the wrong place, in my opinion. So, again, not necessarily a quick video, but pick these things up used off eBay. Just be particular in what you do. Check those knife edges, and if they're covered in dust and grime, just clean them. If these things are well serviced, and now that I have that 3-in-1 oil that I put on with a toothbrush, and even that I've wiped it off with a rag, there's still a very nice thin film on these. It's like the old Cosmoline grease they used to use in the Army to cover things, to preserve them forever. This has a thin coating of grease on it. It's not going to affect anything. You can wipe off your fine tuners, so on, and they will service you and last your lifetime. I did take the opportunity to put big blocks on. These are both 42s. This is just what I had on hand. I figured while I was in there, that's what I would do. I'm actually going to probably try and take these 42s and cut them down to 37s, which is what I need, but I don't feel like wasting these good parts. So I'm going to try and figure that out. Any machinists in the audience want to hit me up in the comment section? What would be the best way? Because I'm going to just take it and push it on a belt sander with a rough grit, or use a file or something like that to get a nice flush surface. So anyway, as always, my friends, this has been Rehabbing the used Floyd Rose you picked up off of eBay. Truly appreciate your view. Truly do appreciate your support. Still respond to all my comments. Please hit me up in the comments. New to the channel, please subscribe. Tons of good content on here. And if you enjoyed the video and you found it useful, please give me that thumbs up. It really helps me with the algorithm and to keep making these videos. All right. So in closing, truly do appreciate your support. Rehab the Floyd Rose. All right, my friends, take care. Bye-bye.